Fani's got her Fanny in the hot seat, and there's no two ways around it. Let's talk about that.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth. Somebody on the top of the line!
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty. This is the Afternoon Drive. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That gives you notification of my rants, my ravings, and my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. That's how we get the word out that we're here. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. There's not much to say regarding the testimony that was heard last week as Fani and her lover took the witness stand and had to give an account for this relationship they had, when it started, what happened, gifts, travel, money, etc., etc., etc. You've heard it all. This, of course, the district attorney that was going to make her chops by taking down President Donald J. Trump. After all, this reprehensible individual had tried to steal an election through Georgia. Bull hawk. But, never let facts get in the way of a good libloon fantasy. And of course, this was all about trying to keep Donald Trump from returning to the presidency. She, of course, has been discovered as having her own issues, and we could sit here and we could analyze everything that she did on the stand. She was very aggressive. She was very demeaning to those who were prosecuting her, even stating at one point, "I'm not on trial here. These people are on trial." No, Fani, you're on trial as well. Her lover, Nathan Wade, drank about 5 gallons worth of water while he was on the stand and did not do well. And I just want to zero in on one part of their testimony between the two of them. And that is, these were not gifts at the taxpayer's expense. She paid Nathan Wade back. Cash. Hordes and hordes of cash. Now, when she first said that, even the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media didn't know how to rebut that, refute that, or defend that in any way. They couldn't. They were all like dumbfounded, like, what do you mean she just paid cash? There's no receipts. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? It took about 24 hours to get their talking points together, and then they all came out in unison and with one voice. It's a black thing. It's a black thing. This is what black people do. Black people keep hordes of cash around because, black people get marginalized by the institutions and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it doesn't pass muster. It just doesn't. When she was asked about, where did you get all this cash? Well, one of the example she gave was, well, I have an ATM debit card, and you go to the store and you get $50 back, and I would just save that and put it aside. Okay, so it means you have a checking account, because if you have an ATM card, if you have a debit card that's drawing off of a checking or a savings account. So you wrote checks as reimbursement. No, I didn't write checks. I don't have a checking account. These were her answers. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Whoa. Remember a few years ago when we were really pushed that you can't do business in cash because cash means you're like a drug lord? Remember any type of transaction that was over $9,000, the government automatically steps in and begins to track and trace? Gone are the days you could walk into a car dealership and buy a $25,000 car and pay cash for it. You can bring a cashier's check, but you can't literally just lay out $25K on the desk and drive out with a new car. No, nay. Doesn't happen that way today because they have to know where that money came from. And so as I'm listening to her talk and I'm listening to him talk, again, these ghetto lawyers that I want to know, did they ever go to law school? In fact, listening to the way they structure sentences, etc., I want to know, did they go anywhere to school? But the more I listened to it, the more I began to think, well, wait a minute, there are other laws here. She is a public servant. She is on the taxpayer's dime. And so if she is a public servant, is part of a trip that she has to pay back, there needs to be receipts. There needs to be a paper trail. There needs to be proof that these monies were paid back. And apparently none of this was followed. And I'm thinking, what other elected officials could get away with this? Could you or I get away with this? And then that took me to the next thought that I had. Hey, the IRS. Would the IRS even remotely be interested in the fact that these two attorneys are admitting on national television that they have hoards of cash in their home? Hoards of cash that they can't account for, how they got it, where they got it, why they got it. I mean, he was asked, well, after Fani gave you this money, you gave her a receipt, right? And he just laughed and said, there's no receipts. It's just cash. Well, you put this money that she gave you back into your bank accounts, right? He goes, no, I have cash in my house. And she said, I have cash at my house. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, there's these laws that govern all of this, that you can't do this way, this unaccounted for cash with no paper trail. And some of the pundits were even spinning over the weekend that this was a brilliant legal maneuver by Fani and her lover, that, you know, that they can claim cash and not have any receipts, and there's no way to disprove it. Wait, what? What? What do you mean? Her word is not evidence. And she kept trying to make that point with the attorney prosecuting her. My word is my evidence. No, it's not, honey. There has to be more than just your testimony. There has to be a corroborating fact, a piece of concrete evidence that points to what you're saying is true. So if you say you gave him cash, where's the receipt that he gave you that he received this money from you? Oh, you don't have one. Where are the bank receipts that this money was deposited as a reimbursement? Oh, you don't have any. See, that's evidence. Your word is just a story. And again, I'm thinking, is she really going to be able to skate on this? Are they going to get away with playing the race card on money? That this is just a black thing? Well, Judge Joe Brown, some of you may remember him from TV, but he is an actual judge. He followed this hearing with great interest and did running commentary as it was happening. And apparently, I feel vindicated. I'm not the only one that wants to know, where's the IRS in this? I mean, this woman is admitting to fraud, that she's taken money from her campaign. She's done all kinds of things. And I'm thinking, please tell me that this this judge isn't going to let her slide, because I'm watching the way this judge is letting her get away with things, and it's seemingly helping her out with her answers. And I come to find out in listening to Judge Joe Brown, and what the judge was actually doing was hanging her. Oh, now this is a long clip from Judge Joe Brown. It is worth the watch.
Paying cash.
I'm sure IRS had a giggle moment with that. And they listen to these things, by the way.
The IRS?
Yeah, they do. I had a former cousin-in-law who was a chief investigator for IRS. She said she liked listening on these programs and instructed her staff. They were investigators in the criminal section to see what they were talking about, and they'd follow up. Got a lot of prosecutions out of it.
I think I've heard that.
And she was talking about withdrawals more than 10,000 cash and stuff. So, I mean, it's sort of like, yeah, okay. And then I want to see what happens with the result of these specific transportation tickets that the wife of Wade introduced in her proceedings against him. And they list her name, and they list the flight, and they list his name and his flight, same flight. She filed hotel accommodations in the DMV area, as she calls it.
Well,
Interesting coincidence that she did not know he was there at the same time, and he was in the same hotel or seat D when she was in seat C.
well, the
Same
thing
on
is,
airplane, but
she kept
other
she
thing.
kept saying that she has, at one point up to 15,000 in her house in cash, and she would give him cash. She gave him 2,400 for his birthday, and when they went on a cruise, she paid him back in cash. And she's lying because, she's lying because she refused to say she used her debit card. And in this clip that I'm going to show, she was saying
Well, wait a minute. That's
check.
what I said. See, what she's testifying to is Attorney General for a district in Atlanta, Georgia, is federal criminality in violation of the Internal Revenue Code. So that's interesting that the DA is on the witness stand under oath testifying to engaging in criminality. And see, if she had thought about it, what she should have done? Taken the Fifth Amendment. See, she didn't think. She's supposed to be the chief prosecutor, and she doesn't know the Fifth Amendment. It's like,
Because she wanted to get up here and run her mouth to say, I'm right, you're wrong, you're a liar. But I'm going to play this clip.
You never wrote him a check? Ma'am, I don't have checks. Okay. So you have no proof of any reimbursement for any of these things because it was all cash, right? The testimony of one witness is enough to prove a fact. So my question was, do you have any proof? Is that what you're intimating right here? I'm asking if you have any proof that you paid for any of these. The proof is what I just told you. You have no written proof. Is that correct? So I have some probably some transactions like in Belize. I probably spent $500 on my card in Belize. I spent 800, I can't remember, $900 on each of our tickets to go to Belize. I did the $700. I probably got some minor expenses in Aruba that would be on a card. But for the most part, for those trips, other than, so the 2 cruises, I gave him money for those before we ever left because they were pre-booked. Let me answer. Well, the question was if you had any written proof. And so I've answered you that I've had written proof. We can move to the next question. If you've answered if you had any written proof, and that was my question. I want to make sure that we're clear that for the 2 cruises, Judge, I asked if she gave him written proof.
We're not going to talk over each other. Ms. Merchant, she answered your question, so we can ask the next question. Ms. Willis and Ms. Cross will have plenty of opportunities.
Stop a second. She didn't answer it well, so she thought she was being slick. So it looks like the judge is defending her, but actually she just got trapped in a bad situation because as it is right now, she's paid out a considerable amount of money in cash. It was not reported to IRS. There are potential taxes due to him. And when you start dealing with transactions over a certain amount, somebody wants to be privy to receipts. Where are the receipts? So that's interesting that when the judge cut that off, it looks like he's helping her out. Actually, he left her in a bad place that she put herself. Now, keep going. And one other further thing. He's going to be the decision maker. There's no jury. So
the judge is going to decide if she will be removed from the case.
Yeah, the judge, and there's some other things too. She's an officer of the court, and she acts through him. So she has betrayed her obligation to represent him responsibly as an officer of his court. So she's subject to sanctions that he can administer for her violation of his trust in her as an officer of the entity that he represents.
You had amounts of cash. You still had that lien in 2022 when you were dating Wade and going on these trips. So the cash that you gave him, that could have been used to pay this tax lien off? You're going to tell me how to pay my bills?
This is not relevant as it relates to
Ms. Merchant, are you trying to establish that she was insolvent in some way?
I definitely was trying to establish that she did not have these mass amounts of cash that she's talking about. Yes.
In other words, stop it. He's going to show that she is perjuring herself because she has made statements that closely proximate to this time she was destitute and broke. So if she's claiming to be destitute and broke due to a 2016 or 18 campaign, I forget which, how does she have all this cash money right in hand if she's supposed to be flat broke busted?
Wow. Boom, boom, wow. You know, as a pastor, I have to file taxes like everybody else. And can I tell you, boy, do I get grilled by my accountant and the IRS over my donations and things that I buy for the ministry out of my own pocket, and have to provide 3 forms of proof. The church, at the end of the year, gives me a giving statement. This is what you gave. Then I have canceled checks or canceled online check transactions from the bank. And then from the server online that takes care of our online donations at the church. And then as a backup 4th form of proof, and this used to be the number 3 that the IRS absolutely required, the gold standard, the tithing envelope. That's just what I had to prove for my donations that I gave. Not to mention things that I actually buy for the ministry, and trips that I take, and part of the business of being a pastor, and the receipts that I have to prove. And this woman, this DA, thinks that she can just hand some cash off and that's proof. Bullhot. She didn't give any cash. She paid her lover, whom she was in bed with in 2019, long before the Trump case, long before she hired him. They were taking trips together all over the world. She was paying him not the same amount of money as the other lawyers. That's a lie. She bold-faced lied on the platform, on the stand, under oath. The other attorneys have made about $100,000 each. This guy just shy of $700,000, and he reciprocated by taking her on lavish trips. This is corrupt, and she needs to go. Let's see what the wheels of justice do with this.